9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, I'm Tim Robinson, Editor-Chief of AEROSPACE, and welcome to AEROSPACE NOTAM. With me today is Deputy Editor Steve Bridgewater. Hi guys. And Features Editor Jack Richardson.
Hi everyone.
We're another edition of our podcast looking at global aviation, aerospace and space news, and what we have upcoming in the next issue of AEROSPACE. It's September 2025.
Already.
So, coming back from the summer break, things are heating up, lots going on. In the magazine, we cover everything from GA to spaceflight, from airliners to airports, from air law to eVTOLs. So first off, we're going to start off with our usual roundup of what we've been doing and what's been happening. It's been a little bit quiet on the industry side of industry events or air shows in terms of the sort of trade exhibitions, conferences and lectures and things like that. But there's still stuff going on, isn't there? Air show season. Steve, you're out and celebrating a historic anniversary.
I was at DH600, which was held at Old Warden, the Shuttleworth Collection, to mark the 100th anniversary of the DH60 Moth. So, organised by the de Havilland Moth Club, which itself was marking its 50th anniversary. Stuart Mackay formed that back in 1975 to rebuild his own Tiger Moth. Stuart and that Tiger were there 50 years later to mark the 100th anniversary of the DH60. So, unusual weather for August. It was not great weather, but even though we still got over 100 aeroplanes in, including 15 DH60 Moths. So, that is a 1925 design, still flying a century later, 15 of them. We think that was probably the biggest gathering post-war of the type. So, and everything through from the whole Moth lineage, so from the DH51, which was the forerunner, through the Puss Moth, Leopard Moth, Fox Moth, because it's Tiger Moth, obviously, in big numbers, right through to the Chipmunk. So, a brilliant event, and well done to everybody who organised that. It was a great one. So, looking forward now to the centenary of the Chipmunk and the Tiger Moth coming up in future years.
Well, what is the collective for a gathering of moths then? A group of moths? A fluttering?
I think it was a fluttering. Yeah, in fact,
eclipse, I think, wasn't it?
I think it was eclipse technically. Yeah. But it was a breeze of moths. It was particularly horrible on the second day, but the guys really pulled all the stops out, and including flying 15 Tiger Moths in formation to spell out 100 in the sky. So great flying.
So I haven't been out anywhere after the madness of the summer months, but I did have some news come to me in a sense that I had a very interesting demo of ASEA AI airport turnaround tech. So this is it's AI-powered cameras that look at aircraft at the gate, and they count things like passengers going in, what trucks are connected, whether baggage has been sort of taken off, and all kinds of stuff like that, catering and toilets and stuff. And it times it. Mm-hmm. So it's basically recognising airport movements, things like that. People, even pilots doing walk-arounds. They can find out things like whether people are wearing reflective belts and wearing all their safety stuff as well. So using this, you can really optimise your airport. It's in use in. I think it's Seattle Airport.
Okay.
And it's also Heathrow as well.
Sounds like a lot of time could be saved.
So it's kind of optimising. It's one of the things where until you see it in action. So obviously we've got a lot of stuff in this issue on AI, the potential of AI and things like that. And you're thinking, well, what does this actually mean? What are the practical benefits? Everyone said, but this is quite a narrow, specific thing there of how do you keep track of everything? And you can either use it for sort of tactical sort of stuff where you've got someone supervising and say, hey, this airline hasn't left the stand. Or you can start predicting it, predicting stuff of where are the bottlenecks?
Yeah.
Where are we missing stuff?
So you're streamlining efficiency, but you're also having that fail-safe check-in, like you say, with people wearing high-vis jackets, there's a health and safety element there as well, isn't there? So, multi-use.
And there's also, they can set, an interesting thing, there's one of the options that they can set is a kind of a danger zone around the engines.
Yeah.
So there's been quite a few incidents recently.
Yeah.
Well, not quite a few, but there's been a few there where people have been sucked into aircraft engines. Some people running in there deliberately. But that keeping that clear and alerting for someone in there sort of straying into there,
or even vehicles getting too close. We've seen baggage trolleys getting to engines, haven't we?
Ramp crash of things hitting stuff and things like that. So really interesting demo of AI in action.
Someone or something. So could this actually include making sure birds and or even worse drones don't get near the
Could be. Maybe that's something for a future upgrade, but we'll see anyway. So on to the news. What has caught our eye in the news this month? Who wants to lead off?
Jack, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. So something that's been a long time coming is the UK and Turkey have signed a memorandum of understanding, which brings the two parties closer to Turkey purchasing Eurofighter Typhoons. That's something that's been in the works for quite a while since Turkey was forced out of the F-35 programme, but until now this has been held up by opposition principally from Germany within the Eurofighter consortium. But this breakthrough potentially gives the opportunity for Turkey to sign a contract later this year for as many as 40 Typhoons.
Well, are these all new Typhoons, or are they going to get some refurbished ones? Or
it looks like a mixture. So reports suggest that the former RAF Tranche 1 Typhoons will be transferred to Turkey in the short term for training purposes, but longer term, 20 to 24 new build options could be made in the UK, which would very much help the BAE Systems facility in Warton.
Yeah, it's great news for Warton, isn't it?
Warton keep its production line running until the GCAP is ready to properly ramp up production, and until any other Typhoon orders materialise.
Because they've been concerned over that skill set, haven't they?
And there's also orders there, and potential orders there, Saudi. And
these orders from Qatar, even potential purchases in Europe.
But these are interesting. Turkey is interesting because it will come from Warton. Again, Saudi would come from the Warton one. Qatar will come from Warton as well. Yeah. Well, that's good news then. If again, it's an MOU. It's not a firm contract, so watch this space, but it's
he's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's heading in the right direction.
DSCI is coming up, so
yeah. Jim, what about you?
Right, so I've got one of the interesting things here is so we've had in the previous month what's going on in the US space. What's going on with NASA? Major changes there. Jared Isaacman kind of rejected as NASA administrator, science budget to be slashed, etc. What's happening in China is they seem to be accelerating fast, and they are testing hardware. So they have the Lanyu, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but it's a lunar lander doing the first ascent and landing tests on 6th of August in China. So this is basically your Apollo lunar module 2.0. Looks a bit like the Apollo. And there's also been, I think, an engine test as well for the China's sort of moon rocket. So these things are coming together, and there's now some speculation that China will beat the US to the moon, even though there's Artemis. So Artemis 2 is going to be lunar circumnavigation. It's going to go around the moon. It's not going to land. But there's still issues there. Starship has been blowing up. There's no spacesuits ready yet, the US seems to be kind of they're going for a more ambitious sustained presence. refueling in orbit. That hasn't been demonstrated yet. China here has got the pieces together. All right, it's kind of Apollo, not I want to say Apollo technology, but Apollo's kind of like the model for Apollo of how you do it. But here's the thing: is the optics of it. Is if you look at what else is China doing? Stealth fighters, stealth bombers, 2 tilt rotors, quantum stuff, AI, high speed, lots of power.
Tandem rotor drones.
But the optics of a Chinese moon landing, even if it's just repeating Apollo from 1969, as to we are racing ahead.
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing as to. It is a space race in that sense.
Yeah.
Who's got the better system?
Well, my next story actually fits on really well from that. We've talked about developments in the eVTOL sector and the lack of development in a way, and China again are forging a lead here. We've particularly spoken about use cases, and there's been lots of demos of short hops here and there where Autoflight, the Chinese manufacturer, with their carry-all, have actually done a demonstrated proper offshore oil rig delivery flight. So a real use case there. Autonomous vehicle, 58 minutes over the water, 90 miles each way. The thing's got a range of 125 miles, and it's got with a 400 kilo payload. So with this, it was an autonomous flight, went out from the mainland, out to the oil rig, took fresh fruit, emergency medical supplies, real world use case. Again, it's the optics that come through here, isn't it? When we're struggling for funding in the rest of the world and the short hop here and there to prove technology, this is something really going into a usable environment.
2 ton, it's a large thing, isn't it? It's 2 ton cargo eVTOL.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jack. What have you got?
So back here in the UK, a space startup, Skyora, has actually obtained a launch license to start sending payloads into space, which is again feels part of the glacial pace of UK space launches. But we're still none the wiser as to when this will actually happen.
And there is a little bit of a wrinkle in that, isn't it? And they're going to get the UK launch license for Skylog L vehicle, but they might go to the Australia as the first one, which seems a bit sort of strange, but and one wonders whether they'll have to sort of repeat the process there to get launch license from Australia. So, on the one hand, that's kind of great progress. On the other hand, it seems to have sort of taken quite a while to get it. And
optics yet again, isn't it?
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah. So, in other news, obviously defence. We've got more defence news. Ukraine is still going on. We've had lots of high-level political stuff going on, high-level meetings, summits, all kinds of things. On the ground, on the front line, there was something that popped up with, I suppose what you say is necessity breeding invention in Ukraine arming crop dusters with air-to-air missiles. So there's a Czech Zlin kind of crop duster here, and it's been armed with 2 infrared R-73 missiles. Normally go on things like MiG-29s or Sukhois. So to go and hunt down drones.
This comes hot on the heels of this same missile being launched from uncrewed boats in the Black Sea to shoot down helicopters, and also in cooperation with the UK, fitting it into shipping containers to be positioned strategically for when Russian drones come over, which have been accelerating even more, even during the talks at the White House in Alaska.
Yeah, like I say, it's something that it's another example of innovation, but it's perhaps one of the things where it's like really it shouldn't be happening. You should get to the stage where you're arming agricultural aircraft, or you've got someone in the back seat of a yak with a shotgun.
We've seen that, haven't we? Yeah, they're using Yak-52s with somebody shooting down UAVs.
But that leads nicely onto something in this issue, hasn't it, on the swarming drones, as to how to perhaps kind of do this in a more structured, organised, and more effective way. What else have we got?
Surprise, I've got a general aviation story. And it's a big story.
It's a big story, isn't it?
This is big news. When was the last time that somebody debuted an aeroplane that you'd never heard about? It's simply turned up out the blue. Not including China.
Bit similar to a J-36 though.
Yeah. So this is a company called Spirit Engineering. They're a Colorado-based company. They turned up at Oshkosh this year, so the AirVenture, the EAA show in Wisconsin, with not one but 4 examples of an aeroplane they've been developing over the last 10 years that nobody even knew existed. And these 4 flew in formation. Talk about arriving in style. This is called the SE-1. It's a single-seater. And it's very Art Deco. It's a very retro design, isn't it, Tim? It's all metal, single seat, got spats and trousered undercarriage. Looks very much like a 1930s racer, that kind of thing. But they have designed this completely in the dark, completely undercover. But they've also designed their own engine. It's 42 horsepower. It's a V2. But this aircraft has been designed to make flying affordable. So everything about it. So the engine it burns just 7.5 litres of fuel an hour, and that's MoGas as well. So that's the stuff you could pick up at the petrol station. It can run on aviation fuel, but it's optimised to run on car fuel. Even the wings fold, so you can store it in your garage at home. You could fit in a standard trailer to be towed to the airfield. This is real grassroots flying, and it's available to fly away today for £50,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the price of an expensive car, but a car. It's it's a single seater. Okay, it's got limited range and it's an open cockpit tail dragger, but for the sheer fun of flying, that's going to take some beating.
I think they have pictures as well of the factory, like 20 of these things into production. I mean, this is NGAD levels of secrecy, and that nobody kind of breathed a word of it. Nobody kind of decided to blab at the local bar or issue a lawsuit saying
I'm told in the press conference when they released the photograph of the 20 aircraft in the factory, people thought it was AI.
Yeah.
So they actually phoned back to the factory to say, could you take us a photograph from a different angle just to prove that this is real? That was the level of disbelief. But it's a great looking machine, really, really pretty looking machine. If I'd still got my license, I'd be front of the queue for one of those.
Brilliant. Jack, what about you? So we've got some civil aviation news, haven't we?
Yeah, so returning once again to the UK, the long-running, to say the least, saga of expanding Heathrow Airport has appeared again, and this time a rival proposal has emerged to build a shorter runway, which its developers, who are major landowners at the airport supplying hotel space, claim would be available 10 years before Heathrow's official expansion, official programme, and also would be significantly cheaper. This would also have a terminal which would open in 2 phases between 2036 and 2040. But Heathrow has shot back, claiming that it wouldn't offer the capacity needed, and particularly that Heathrow's controversial scheme to reroute the M25 to accommodate their new runway would actually lead to significant improvements in the runway.
So obviously,
motorway rather.
Yeah. So obviously, government now has kind of green lighted it, but there's still. I think that the fact that there's somebody. There's an alternative plan is kind of positive mood music, and that people are keen to see this go ahead. It's just one of the things where is this going to be bound up in appeals, legal inquiries, local protesters, etc., etc.
Certainly.
Could this thing be derailed again potentially? Because you've got you've got the weird, weird thing here of the London Mayor not being in favour of it, of an expansion of an airport which is going to boost growth in his own city. Watch this space, as they say. It's been a long running saga to get a third runway at Heathrow. This will probably run as well. On more civil stuff, we've got some interesting news here on single pilot ops. So earlier this year, the RAS had a single pilot operations conference, like a landmark conference looking at that. And what seems to have happened there is that ESA, which was conducting a study on it, has backed down and said this is not viable at the moment. So it's not the technology is not sufficiently more mature. Equivalent level of safety cannot be currently demonstrated. So that's a bit of a blow to obviously Airbus. Maybe some of the freight airlines as well that were looking at this technology. Could you make an autonomous, sort of a freighter? If there's no one on board. Again, this leads into a article we've got in this issue. But obviously the pilot unions are very, very happy with this. They've been campaigning against this in both the US and Europe, and pointing out that 2 pilots for the maximum sort of safety. So interesting there on that they've come to the conclusion that it's not quite ready for prime time. And then the final thing for you
is another GA story.
So
GA-tastic this month. But again, big news from the US. So Oshkosh again in July, big announcement came out from the FAA that they were going to roll out their Mosaic rules. Now, Mosaic is an acronym. It stands for Modernisation of Special Airworthiness Certification. So this goes back to 2004 when the US brought in the light sport aircraft category of the sport pilot license. And basically, to become a sport pilot, you need a lesser medical requirement. So we have something similar in the UK. It's the license I used to fly, which was originally called a National Private Pilot's License. So if you have a minor heart condition or something like that, you can get this. In the US, it's a driving license medical that you need. If you've got a current driving license, you can fly a light sport aircraft. The issue was these were not entirely practical aeroplanes, so they were 2 seats, but often with the weight limit, it used to be £1,320 weight limit that came in. So with a 2-seat aeroplane, you could put an occupant and some fuel, or you could put an occupant and a second occupant, but you couldn't do both. It was weight limited. So what they've done now is remove that weight limit and brought in a limit on the stall speed of the aircraft. So you can now fly a 4-seat aeroplane, but you can only fly it with 1 passenger, so pilot plus passenger. And you might think, well, why would I want a 4-seat aeroplane if I can only take 1 person? But you can use that maximum takeoff weight of the bigger aeroplane to its effect. So as long as it stalls slower than 59 knots, then which is clean, which is gear and flaps up, you can fly that under sport pilot privileges. Lots of other things changed as well. I think one of the really interesting things is it used to be limited in engine type. They've now reduced that limitation. The only thing you can't now fly on a sport pilot license is a rocket-powered aircraft. Welcome to the US. But the crucial thing there is it allows electric aircraft to come through and fall within that sport pilot route. An interesting stat that AOPA, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, came up with, that as of the end of last year, there are about 500,000 pilots in the US, both commercial pilots and private pilots. Just over 7,000 of those were sport pilots, so it's that 1.5%. It's just not practical. The hope with Mosaic rules is that it will make this a lot more usable. It will encourage people to come back into flying that have perhaps lost their medical, and encourage other people to come in, because it's flying for fun and it's affordable flying.
Will it still be called the sport pilot license?
It's still sport pilot, still light sport aircraft. It's just changing the definition of what that light sport aircraft is.
So there's going to have to be some kind of outreach or communications campaign to sort of say, hey, everybody, you thought you were, this stuff has changed, and hey, these bigger aircraft, it's more practical.
I remember being in the press conference in 2003, 2004, when the National Private Pilot's Licence came in the UK. It was at the then PFA rally, which was at Cranfield. And I asked the question then that all the groups had come together. So we'd got the British Gliding Association, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots, what was then the Popular Flying Association, all these groups that had pulled together to bring a licence. I said, great, now you've done this, how are we going to promote it? And they went, we're going to put adverts in the Sunday supplements. Did you know you can be a private pilot for less than £5,000 or whatever it was? And it's never happened. And I think that's a crying shame that there's a lot of people who could become a pilot that they think it's either out of their ability or it's out of their cost bracket. And don't get me wrong, flying is not a cheap hobby, but it's probably cheaper than a lot of people think it is. And it can be.
Do you think it could be replicated in the UK? Do you think the UK CAA will follow suit?
We're seeing an increasing amount of willingness from the CAA to change things. We've seen a huge amount of interaction with last year's President David Chin with his Design, Build, Fly theme. There was a lot of willingness to talk, and that sort of cross-pollination between not just the CAA, but it needs those relevant groups as well. So the Microlight Association, now the Light Aircraft Association, what was the Popular Flying Association. Everybody needs to pull together. It's not just a CAA, it needs to be an industry-wide thing. But there's no reason why we can't do something in the UK.
So now we're looking at what have we got coming in the September 25 issue. So I'm going to start off. We've got a report there from Global Air and Space Chiefs Conference. So that was back in July, which feels like a lifetime ago already. But that was a high-profile, high-level conference with all 66 air chiefs. Biggest, it must be the biggest gathering of air chiefs in the world. I can't think of any other. And it's now firmly established itself in the calendar. Really interesting this year. Obviously, last one for Air Chief Marshal Rich Knighton. He is now going to the top job. By the time you might be listening to this, Air Marshal Smith might be Chief Marshal Half Smith as the new Chief of the Air Staff. Mm-hmm. And also lots of really good, interesting stuff in there about, AI, the current geopolitical situation. Really, really interesting stuff. Rise, what the threat environment is. Absolutely sort of fascinating stuff that came out of it. And really it was a struggle to kind of pick out the highlights. But it was actually helped a little bit by some of the bizarre reporting rules, which is not just in the UK, but in the US as well. In that at GASC, the senior RAF officers and senior MOD, other Army officers, Navy officers there weren't allowed to speak on the record unless they were on a special keynote. So you had the bizarre spectacle there of a senior RAF officer, an air marshal, whatever rank, on a panel with Luftwaffe, somebody from industry, somebody from academia, and they were the only one that they had a warning there saying this is not for reporting.
That's crazy.
And so the RAF was. This has come from number 10 cabinet office, clamped down on military officers kind of speaking their mind, going. I suppose there's a worry about them going rogue or something. But it effectively means that at their own air power conference, the RAF was limiting its message. At a time of when the public is really interested in defence. Yeah. Is the country ready? Are we ready? What needs to be done? The country now, the public, politicians, media is fully behind increasing defence spending. And the one time when it's the perfect time to get the message out, and there are these restrictions being put in there, which just people kind of rolling their eyes at.
Do we know where this has come from? Is there a precedent of people going off script? I'm not aware of anything particularly controversial being said?
No. I mean, there wasn't anything controversial said in this particular forum. It's not just here. I mean, there's been other ones earlier this year. I think the First Sea Lord was pulled out of the RUSI conference. But I think it's just paranoia and control freakery from the top.
And there's the real risk here of if they let this vacuum develop at the top, what could step into its place? So does this now risk social media speculation festering?
Well, I mean, there's a wider message there on getting ahead and being more proactive on the comms angle there as a whole. For example, we've had the memes that the F-35 stuck in India generated, where a more proactive communications approach could have nipped that in the bud, just gone, hey, these things happen, instead of it being sort of turned into a kind of a laughing stock, and the MOD kind of then constantly reacting to sort of bad news, so. There's that. What else have we got in this edition?
So still on the military theme, the end of September marks quite an important though overlooked anniversary, because it's 50 years since the prototype of the YAH-64, which would become the Apache, made its first flight. So I've written an article chronicling the evolution of this aircraft from entering service in the 1980s through its upgrades in the 1990s and service history in the Middle East, and how it's evolving in the future, really asking the question of how can a helicopter gunship actually remain relevant in these times when drones and sophisticated defences are becoming ever more prevalent.
Well, thank you for making Tim and I feel old. That's really appreciated, Jack. 50 years for the Apache. Good Lord.
And it still lives for business.
It still does. Yeah, it is, absolutely.
But I think the key to the battlefield survivability, as you point out in your article, Jack, is pairing it with these what they call air-launched effects to kind of scout ahead and have a look over the next hill, just check things out and report back to that. And I think that has been happening already. I mean, there is you can get sort of like kind of drone feeds in already, but I think it's probably one thing there will be a case for more autonomy or way of improving the human-machine interface. Because even with two crew, the Apache crews are kind of maxed out, and having to control however many air-launched effective you fire off in front of you for one person, and maybe the co-pilot gunner in the front seat. That sounds like it's a job for AI autonomous stuff to go in there and say, sweep that area ahead, go and look there, tell us it's clear. Job's a good one. What else have we got?
I've got an airline story, which is from Dr. Rashid Ali, Friends Society, Coventry University, my old alumni. Dr. Ali has written a piece on would you fly in an autonomous airliner? And he's gone about this in a very unusual style, in that he gave one of his lectures to a group he'd never met before. They were not aware of his aerospace background as an aerospace engineer, and posed the question to ask people who are not aviation people, would you fly in an autonomous airliner? And he's reported back on the feedback that he got, and it's really interesting. As you would expect, people go, oh no, it's not safe. Well, how safe is it? We've got autonomous cars now, with limiting degrees of success, we appreciate. But I think it's an interesting article for me because it looks at the psychological effect rather than just the nuts and bolts of can we do this. There's the can we do it, should we do it, and will people accept it if we do it. And of course that fits in with the single pilot ops, which, as you said in the first half of the show, Tim, that EASA have now backed away from.
Yeah, and there's an alternative point of view that sort of said, if you were to, for example, if a certain low-cost budget carrier was to say, your ticket prices are going to be half of what but you're flying an autonomous airliner. There's some people who say it doesn't matter. People are price sensitive; they will take it.
Absolutely,
and that will drive them in the market. But
absolutely right. And as Dr. Ali says in the article, there's the human error factor. If you can remove that human error, is it actually safer to not have that pilot in the cockpit? And some of the people that he quizzed raised that as of course I would, because it's actually safer than being there with a piloted aircraft. It's interesting you said about the price point. I did an interview about a week ago for a future article we're working on low-cost carriers, and spoke to Dec Ryan from Ryanair and talked about price points. And he said that ultimately the crucial thing, whether it's sustainability, whether it's standard of service, people want cheap. He likened it to obviously they're Irish carriers. We've got a lot of friends who are cattle farmers out in Ireland, and it's during the BSE, the mad cow disease outbreak, 20 years ago. They lowered the price of their steak, and everybody bought it because it was cheap. People just want cheap. Interesting way. Would you fly an autonomous airliner if it was
got some very interesting responses as well, because one of them went as far as to say said I wouldn't necessarily risk it for a holiday, but it's too risky when I'm going on a holiday. So I thought that was quite an interesting way of looking at this.
Talking more about autonomous stuff, we've got an article in this issue from Dr. David Sloggett, on swarming drones. So we've been talking about that in the context of Ukraine and arming crop dusters and firing at kind of incoming drones with 1919 Maxim guns and that, or trying to shoot them down with F-16s. Whole load of ways to try and destroy these things and defend your skies, or shooting Patriots at them at however many thousands, millions of Patriots. So Dave Sloggett has been looking at this from his unique angle. And he's there looking at taking we should be taking ideas or cues from nature in terms of things like Starlings. So the idea of a drone swarm, a drone swarm of Starlings interceptor drones that could be on combat air patrol. So these things could launch on demand, they could take off, they could flock, they could coordinate together. And I think that's also the key thing is you do not want to have an incoming drone attack or one-way attack drones, and the flock goes after a decoy, a feint attack, or it goes after all the wrong ones. They're going to end up in a field anyway, and actually. The real target is someone, and there's 10 attacking the same target. You want them to coordinate and work out which one's the nearest, which one's the most, and that I think is what he's getting at in that. So it also ties in with something that. Air Marshal Johnny Stringer mentioned, NATO Deputy Air Commander, mentioned at the gas thing about the idea of picket cap drones. So it's something that is an idea that is gaining momentum because again, Patriot's too expensive. All these other ideas are sort of like just ad hoc things. For an air defence system of the 21st century, do you need these cap interceptor drones? Possibly. Yeah. What else have we got?
So from my angle, this is an interesting article. In July, the Space UK conference took place in Manchester, and Kate Arcliffe-Gray, who regularly reports to our magazine, attended. And she's written about the growing sense of mission within the UK government and business towards space, but there are still some frustrations about how to get funding and regulations, and also managing to work in a few puns about the Oasis conference, which was taking place in the city at the time.
Yes, so it was Oasis were playing in Manchester at the same time, weren't they? So
Champagne Super Rover.
One of the rovers had got a Oasis bucket hat on, hadn't it? So we couldn't resist a champagne super rover pun.
Yeah, and our President-elect, Professor Malcolm MacDonald, was also there out at the show as well, meeting and forging contacts for us. Space. I mean, it's obviously a growing thing. Although there has been some breaking news, hasn't it, in the last 24 hours of the UK Space Agency is going to be merged into Department of Technology Innovation.
Science, Innovation, Technology.
So come under there. So some people are sort of saying, that's a welcome move. It's cleaning up kind of quangos, efficiency, etc. Others are a bit more sceptical on, what does this mean? Are they being downgraded? Is this being given? Is space being given less, importance? Is from that. The again, optics, what we were talking about earlier, the optics of this is the UK Space Agency. It's got its own mission it's part of a larger government department. What else?
Last one from me is an article by Joyce Abeo on aircraft leasing and why this is becoming increasingly popular with airlines around the world. So we do Paris, we do Singapore, we do Dubai, we do Farnborough. The amount of airline orders now which are being ordered by lessors rather than the airlines themselves. We know that there's a backlog on OEMs getting deliveries of aircraft and deliveries of engines, and the airlines are increasingly looking now at these lessors as a way to spread their costs, but also spread their bets a little bit. So if you want to try a new route, rather than buying a new aircraft, lease one for a certain amount of time. And just looks at the history. It's going right back to Stephen and Varhese, the godfather of aircraft leasing, as she refers to him quite rightly, through to where things are going to go in the future. So it's an interesting feature.
I mean, also the lessors are really sort of ahead of the game in determining the trends, which routes are going to be viable, which places are up and coming, and even have the purchasing power to go to Airbus and Boeing and say, this aircraft you've just designed, it's rubbish. Go back to the drawing board because we're not going to buy it.
Yep.
It's interesting. She also covers how the importance of leases in the aviation's comeback following the pandemic, saying that airlines could just go to these listers and just be able to just book capacity through them to rapidly ramp up again as demand resurged.
Yeah, flexibility, isn't it?
Yes.
We've also got Afterburner, so that's it for the features. We also got our usual Afterburner, so library editions. We have an obituary for Lord Tebbit.
Yeah.
Obviously well known in the UK as a politician, but also a pilot.
Both an airline pilot and an ex-military pilot, so flew Vampires and Meteors. A lot of campaigning work for airline pilot rights for helper and for the rights of female airline pilots in the early days.
Yeah, and also Pierre Jean Genot from Air Canada, one of the titans of Canadian aerospace. International Cadet Exchange and Heritage Plaque for the Royal Observer Corps. Plus, we also have the Falcon 2 sort of launch at Riyadh.
Which you saw, didn't you? I've not seen this myself, so tell me about this.
So this is like a horse box trainer. So the idea is it's mobile and it's an accessible flight simulator. And basically what you can do is there's a ramp and there is a mobile platform, like a hydraulic platform in the back that you can wheel. Someone can wheel a wheelchair into there. It then locks down. Controls swing out in front, and there's a screen in front.
Brilliant.
You just put up the back of the trailer, and you get motion. So it's a motion simulator for a motion flight simulator for disabled
That's brilliant.
people in wheelchairs. So super accessible. It's mobile.
Yeah. Sending it round to schools and organisations, and what a great idea.
It's connected to Explain, and we had sort of pilots there, the kids there are looking at it, and all going well. And standard rule there was astronaut Tim Peake. Test pilot and astronaut who said how good it was. So amazing. Great initiative. Hopefully that's going to be going around there. If you are working at some school and you've got special people with special needs, or you've just got pupils anyway who are interested in aerospace, might be interested in aerospace, want to see what innovation can do. Do get in touch with our careers department, book a visit, it can come to you.
It was fantastic to see some of the feedback from those who'd used this at Riaz. It was really, really good to see how it can unlock aviation to people who wouldn't normally consider following its career.
Brilliant.
Also, obviously, for Afterburner, we've got the usual branch news and events going on. We've got the ongoing diary. Do send your news to Deputy Editor Stephen Bridgewater on stephen.bridgewater@aerosociety.com. We've got upcoming events and shout-outs. So, what have we got coming up? So, not a society event. We've got DSCI coming up on 9th to 12th of September. That's the big defence show in the Excel Centre. We've got the RAS Young Professionals Conference, 12th of September. RAS Late Summer Air Law Reception, 17th of September, with a speaker from Wizz Air. We've got the Amy Johnson Lecture, 18th of September, celebrating women in aviation and looking at MRO. RAS Mental Health in Aerospace event, that's 6th of October. That is particularly topical for given some of the stuff that's come out from the sort of Air India, what people have been discussing. President's Conference, People in Aerospace, 7th of October. That's going to be one for your diaries.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah. So, great idea for a theme, for a topic. Actually. Recruitment,
retention, inspiration. It's the people aspect. We often obviously get excited by the technology and the aircraft, the spacecraft, nuts and bolts. This is going to be all about the people. RAS Flight Simulation Conference, 21st, 22nd October. RAS Light Aircraft Design Conference, 10th of November, so that's likely to be pretty good. And we've got the Dubai Air Show, 17th to 21st of November. So, it's going to be a packed
end of the year, yes.
Packed autumn for us. So, we're counting down to the end of the episode. What have we all been watching, reading, or playing? Go!
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
As usual, I've got a prop. I've been reading a new book, which is called Red Square, which is published by The Modernist. And it's the story. If you remember the BA airline livery with that red square that went on the tail of the Trident and things like that, it's the story behind that corporate identity. You said earlier, Tim, about, we often get fixated on the nuts and bolts of the aeroplanes. This is the story of the marketing and the people that came up with that brand, particularly Mary de Souls, who was the brainchild behind that 1960s corporate marketing strategy for BAA, which was hugely successful. Nicely produced book, a mixture of recollections, interviews with Mary herself, who sadly passed away just before the book was published, but they've got her recollections, lots of advertising literature, beautiful illustrations of airline posters and things like that. But a nice look back at the heyday, the golden era of British Airlines in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, and what's surprising, having you flick through it quickly in front of my face, is how much thought and design went into it. Because you think from there, it's like, 50s, 60s, wouldn't it be scribbled on the back of a fat packet and
properly researched?
Properly researched, yeah. And if you've got something like that, I think it's a lesson for airlines. Everywhere is how to make your brand stand out, how to make it memorable. Think of something like Pan Am, Speedbird, the Landor livery.
Simple but iconic, isn't it?
Jack, how about you?
So I recently watched a movie on Netflix called Air Force, the movie, which is a Malay language film about a fictional situation where an international group are stranded on a Pacific island, which is being overrun by rebel forces, and they're evacuated by a Malaysian A400M, which is shot down in the process. And there's a rescue mission mounted with other A400Ms and Malaysian Air Force flankers. So it's a very enjoyable action film.
I didn't know you could speak Malay. That's quite a skill you've kept.
So it's behind enemy lines or Top Gun Maverick, but Malaysian style.
Yeah, bit of both. Yeah, so mixed in all of them. So flankers, A400Ms, F-18s. Super Cougar family, the whole aviation family.
Fantastic. Well,
I've also just recently started reading one of your books, Steve, Propellerhead by Anthony Woodward, about his early journey into aviation. So despite being in a major overdraft, taking time out from a marketing job to learn to be a pilot.
I think I've probably spoken about that book on the podcast before, but you picked that up for my birthday party, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, Propellerhead for me sums up that freedom of flying. That again, going back to that grassroots we talked about with Mosaic and the Spirit SC1, it's just why we fly, and I recommend anybody to read Propellerhead. I think it was a Sunday Times bestseller back in the day for just people who were not interested in aeroplanes, because it's so beautifully told. But I hope you enjoyed that, Jack. It's a really good book
so far.
So what about you?
Well, so I've been first of all, I've discovered a browser-based free simulation stroke war game developed by an Estonian chap, and this is all about defending against drones and missile attack. So this is quite. I mean, it's quite. I wouldn't say it's dumbed down, but it is accessible, and it's looking at these real world scenarios, unfortunately, that happen in Ukraine. There's a scenario there also of a drone attack on Estonia. There's a scenario there of obviously Ukraine, Israel and Iran, and Taiwan, which I think has just been added today by the look of it. And you can play around with sort of the metrics. You can add different numbers of drones, and you can also put different defences in. So you can put in things like, extra Patriots. You can put in EW and jamming, and you can see how this all there. And you can come up with what are the numbers? What are the numbers of the drones that go through? So really, really interesting. And obviously there's other stuff that there's classified war games and unclassified war games out there. But I think this is quite interesting for non-hardcore specialists or people who are interested in air power, journalists or politicians or members of the public to have a look at this and go, well, this is what's going on. What can you do? Where do you put the defences? What's the most effective, etc., etc. So that's a very interesting thing that just popped up. Talking war games, the other thing that we've been listening to, Steve, is Sky's The War Game.
The War Game, recommended to us by our CEO, actually, Dave Edwards, wasn't it? It's 5 episodes. My wife and I were completely gripped to it. We had a couple of road journeys where we listened to it back to back, and it's fascinating. It's terrifying in equal amounts. I think their catchphrase is "Russia knows our weaknesses. Do you?" So the ethos here is they have looked at a typical war game that would take part, politicians take part in as a matter of routine. And obviously, without using classified information, they've staged one of those with not hidden microphones, but it's not staged, it's done in real time, but using ex-politicians. So Ben Wallace plays the Prime Minister.
Jack
Straw's in it.
Amber Rudd.
That one,
I mean, absolutely fascinating and some real eye-opening stuff in there. It's like, well, how many T-45s have we got? To do their defence. Can you mount a long-range strike of F-35s against Russia? And that was
long pause silence.
Long pause, and also some of the stuff that came out there, which was the Treasury, the person playing the Treasury, who said, why is there only one T45 available? Why are they ones to? And the chief of defence was saying, we've been telling you this for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So it really laid bare. Well, it was pretty damning over the state of the UK defences, which I think people knew about. Those of us covering it knew about it, and we were saying this all the time, and it almost kind of got a little bit blasé. And I think it's one of those things where this has broken through to the non-specialist crowd. Like your wife has gone. It's gone. Oh God, this is terrible. I didn't realise the cupboard is absolutely bare. And it's one of the things that's helped. It's now helping to make the case for defence and make the case for investment in defence. And obviously, after SDR, obviously got we had SDR, but the big question for that is how much of this is going to be affordable? And there's going to be a big fight in the autumn about that.
Definitely.
I think it just really brings it home, doesn't it? Having it acted out effectively by these household names, it could really
it gives it credibility.
Really brings it to the masses.
And the thought processes as well.
And the one thing I will say on that is the first episode can be a little bit chewy. There's lots of introductions as to who does what and why they're doing things. Bear with it, because by the end of episode 1 and into episode 2, it really moves up a gear. So do stick with it. Don't get put off by the various introductions and nuts and bolts bit of it, because it really is worth persevering with.
So we're coming to the end of the episode now, but we're going to come on to our usual thing of where can people get off. But before we get there, we have someone here who is leaving us after a year of sterling service. So I would just like to say pay tribute to our features editor, Jack Richardson, for a year of incredible work, hard work and dedication. And we have got a little bit of something for you to take away.
I'd like to open that and tell
for those
listeners what's in the bag.
For those not watching in black and white, what have you got in the bag?
Thank you. Through the yellow visor, the life and misadventures of a US Navy fighter pilot.
So that's the autobiography of Jello, Vincent A. Yellow from the Fighter Pilot podcast. I know that was a book that you wanted to read.
Should we get it?
We should, yeah. I'm going to mine.
Yeah.
So
well done there, Jack. Jack is sadly leaving us after a year. He was maternity cover. We have Bella Richards coming back. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here,
Jack. It's been an absolute pleasure being here, guys. I've had the absolute time of my life.
I think you've got something else in your bag, actually.
I think the stat now it's over there. It's 3 meters across.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's F-14. F-14 Top Gun key tag.
Yeah.
Bahraini Pakistan Air Force Bahraini Team Thunder patch.
Thank you very much.
No one goes away empty-handed on the show.
Thank you very much.
So thanks for all your help over the last year, Jack.
That's fine.
We wish you all the best
in the future.
Much. Right, so where can we find us? You and me, we're still
here. I'm still on the usual social media stuff. So I'm on Stephen with a PH, Stephen.Bridgewater. At aerosociety.com is the email address. Also Stephen.Bridgewater on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I'm not particularly on X these days, whereas Tim, I think you still are.
I'm RS Tim R, yes. I'm also on Blue Sky and aerosociety.com. Look out for that. Views, questions, feedbacks, do send them just send them our way. We're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, and we shall see you next month.
See you next month, guys.
Okay.